Illinois versus Northwestern, the land of Lincoln. This is Illinois' backyard dust-up, born on October 12, 1892, with a 16-16 tie that set the tone for 130-plus years of neighbors bickering over bragging rights. Since 2009, the winner gets the Land of Lincoln trophy, yes, the bronze stovepipe hat, chosen by fans to replace the old Sweet Sue tomahawk and designed by famed cartoonist Dick Locker. It's a perfect Illini/Wildcats vibe, history, a little quirk, and a whole lot of state pride. The series has swung like a porch door in an Illinois windstorm. Illinois holds the all-time edge 58-55-5, but Northwestern has had real stretches of control, including a 7-3 run across the last 10 meetings. Recent memory? Illinois took the 2024 showdown 38-28, a clean late-season statement that snapped NU's momentum. That "it's never over" feeling is part of the charm. Both fan bases have seen weirdness, comebacks, and the occasional hat hoist in enemy territory. Modern times keep the thing spicy. With realignment noise and shifting Big Ten pecking orders, this game still anchors the calendar because it's local, it's loud, and it's got hardware. The hat looks great in celebration photos, and it travels, sometimes grudgingly, to whichever team solves November better. Add in the trophy's backstory, fan vote replacing a 62-year-old symbol, and you've got a rivalry that respects tradition while evolving past it. It's not just a game, it's the annual check-in on who owns Illinois, for at least one very loud weekend. Illinois versus Purdue, the cannon. This rivalry literally goes boom. In 1905, Purdue students smuggled a small cannon to Champaign to fire after a presumed victory. Illinois fans found it and swiped it. The cannon resurfaced as the official trophy in 1943, and ever since, these neighbors have fought for the right to roll it home. It's peak Midwestern petty, forged in brass and stories you tell your cousins at Thanksgiving. By 2024, they'd hit the 100th meeting, the 75th for the cannon itself. Purdue holds the narrow series lead and the advantage in trophy games, which is exactly the kind of stat Illini fans bring up when it swings their way, and Boilermaker fans recite when it doesn't. The latest chapters have delivered drama. On October 12, 2024, Illinois won a 50-49 thriller in overtime. Pure Big Ten chaos. The sort of ending that makes rivalry lore and sends the cannon clicking back across state lines. In the modern era, this matchup doubles as a style check. Who runs the ball when it's cold, who protects the quarterback when it's loud, and who avoids the one back-breaking mistake. The cannon isn't huge, but the emotions are. It's the kind of game where a special teams block becomes legend, where coaches earn scars, and where fans remember the year by who had the hardware. Simple, salty, and satisfying. Exactly how a trophy game should feel. Iowa versus Wisconsin, the Heartland Trophy. A century of Midwestern stubbornness distilled into a brass bull. Iowa and Wisconsin first met on October 29, 1894, and the series has stayed tight ever since. Wisconsin leads 49-47-2 with an annual trophy since 2004. The Heartland Trophy, a bronzed bull dreamed up by Iowa alum Frank Strub and introduced jointly by ADs Bob Bowlesby and Barry Alvarez. It's hefty, it's proud, and it absolutely looks like something you'd guard with a fullback dive. The feel? Field position chess with a side of shoulder pads. The rivalry has swung in eras. Iowa ripped off 10 straight from 1985 to 96, while Wisconsin surged in the 2000s. But lately the Hawkeyes have tightened their grip. Iowa's won the last three, including a 15-6 rock fight in Madison, 2023, and a 42-10 thumping in Iowa City, 2024. Nights when the run game, defense, and special teams did the loudest talking. Even as the Big Ten reshaped itself, this one stayed sacred. The league's new Flex Protect model kept Iowa-Wisconsin as a protected annual matchup, which feels right. Two border states, one bull, and a brand of football that still celebrates a well-timed punt as art. When the final horn sounds, somebody hoists the Heartland Trophy, and somebody else has to watch that bull ride off down the tunnel. There's beauty in the simplicity, and pain in giving the other guy the horns. Maryland versus Rutgers. New East neighbors, real edge. Not every rivalry needs a century of baggage to sting. Maryland and Rutgers first played on October. 1920 went their separate ways for long stretches, then were paired yearly once both joined the Big Ten in 2014. The series is close enough to keep both fan bases alert. Maryland leads 12-8, highlighted by a 48-7 Terps romp in 2019, while Rutgers took the latest meeting 31-17 in 2019-2024. The modern vibe is very Big Ten East. And now, Big Ten 18. Late season stakes, bowl positioning, and quarterbacks writing headlines. In 2023, Tolia Tagovailoa torched Rutgers for 361 yards and set the Big Ten career passing record as Maryland won 42-24. 1 year later, Rutgers answered and flipped the script. That ebb and flow makes the matchup feel like a yearly report card. Who developed better, who tackled better, who handled November better. There's no official trophy, though fans have jokingly pitched everything from market-themed cups to even Delaware, long story, but the league gave it real weight by designating Maryland Rutgers a protected annual opponent in the new scheduling format. Translation: circle it every year because someone's postseason hopes usually ride on it. It's neighborly enough to share a coastline, yet edgy enough that a blocked kick or busted coverage can rewrite the season in a heartbeat. Manufactured or not, it has grown into a genuine, consequential border fight. Simple, salty, and very Big Ten. Michigan versus Michigan State, Paul Bunyan's backyard brawl. The neighbors first traded hits on October 12, 1898, and they've barely stopped since. Michigan leads the all-time series 74-38-5, and the game turned into a trophy fight in 1953 when Governor G. Menon Williams introduced the Paul Bunyan, Governor of Michigan Trophy, a 4-foot lumberjack on a 5-foot base that looks exactly as gloriously overbuilt as a Midwestern rivalry should. This one swings in eras and emotions. You get controversies, Clockgate in 2001, Top 10 Showdowns 2021, Kenneth Walker III's 5 touchdowns, and scorelines that live rent-free all year. Michigan's 2023 trip to East Lansing was a 49-0 avalanche. In 2024, the Wolverines kept the hat with a tighter 24-17 win in Ann Arbor. The result, a current Michigan streak and a reminder that even when the game goes low-scoring and chippy, a single explosive drive or special teams flip can rewrite the night. The Big Ten's new schedule kept this as a protected annual, which fits. 2 fan bases who share highways, recruiting turf, and profound disagreements about timekeeping. The football is usually rugged, field position, tight ends, and fourth-quarter nerves. Then somebody hoists Paul Bunyan and parades him like a state fair prize. Love it or hate it, you watch it, because November bragging rights in Michigan still come with flannel and an axe. Michigan State versus Penn State, the land grant. These two first met in 1914, but the modern edge arrived in 1993 when Penn State joined the Big Ten, and the schools created the Land Grant Trophy, a deliberately grand piece featuring Old Main, Beaumont Tower, and both mascots, dreamed up by MSU's George Pearls with Joe Paterno to honor the nation's first land-grant universities. It's big, it's busy, and it's wonderfully on brand. The series is razor close historically, but Penn State holds the overall edge, 1918-1. When it spikes hard. See Black Friday 2023 at Ford Field, a 42-0 Penn State shutout that turned into a season-ending statement and sent the land grant rolling east. That neutral site chapter summed up the rivalry's recent feel. Defense first, momentum heavy, and occasionally lopsided when one side's front seven takes over. With the Big Ten's new Flex Protect model, Penn State is the league's lone program without a protected rival, which means this matchup isn't guaranteed every season, fitting for a rivalry that was built by the conference and then reshuffled by expansion. When they do link up, though, it still feels consequential. Late season stakes, bowl positioning, and a trophy large enough to need its own seat on the bus. It's less about hate and more about heft, 2 proud land-grant powers grading each other's semester in November. Minnesota versus Wisconsin, Paul Bunyan's axe. If you want pure classic college football, this is the blueprint. 2 border neighbors, snow in the air, and a 6-foot axe waiting on the sideline. Minnesota and Wisconsin first squared off on November 15, 1890, and they've played 134 times since, more than any other FBS rivalry. Even better, they haven't missed a single season since 1907. Through 2024, the series is tied 63-8, which feels almost too perfect for a rivalry that's been tug of war for over a century. The trophy's story is just as legendary. Before the axe, there was the slab of bacon. Yes, that was really the name. A black walnut board used from 1930 to 43. It mysteriously disappeared in the 1940s, only to resurface in a Camp Randall storage room in 1994. By 1948, the schools had moved on to Paul Bunyan's axe, a towering trophy with every score etched into its handle like the rings of an ancient tree. For years, the winning team staged a mock chop at the other school's goalposts until a near brawl in 2013 ended that tradition. Now the axe doesn't come out until the game's final whistle. It's Big Ten folklore with a little modern safety policy sprinkled in. And the rivalry is still just as fiery. On November 29, 2024, Minnesota marched into Madison and took the axe back with a 24-7 win, powered by Max Brosmer's steady arm and a defense that smothered the Badgers. With the all-time series perfectly balanced, the shared border, and the spectacle of players hoisting that giant axe, this This game feels less like a matchup and more like a Midwestern holiday. Bragging rights don't just last the night, they last all year. And just in case anyone's forgotten, Wisconsin once owned 14 straight wins from 2004 to 2017, proof that nobody dares take November momentum for granted. Purdue versus Indiana, the Old Oaken Bucket. Some trophies shine with polish. This one, it's farm tough. The Old Oaken Bucket is exactly what it sounds like, a weathered wooden bucket with a chain of bronze P and I links added after each game. Purdue and Indiana first squared off in 1891, but the Chicago alumni clubs dreamed up the bucket in 1925. Fittingly, the first bucket game ended 0-0, so they literally had to split the difference with a combined IP link. It doesn't get more literal. Win the state, add your letter. The numbers tell a long story. Purdue leads the overall series 77 to 43 to 6, and also dominates the bucket count at 63-33-3. But the mood always swings with the latest result, because the bucket lives where both fan bases can see it. That's the beauty of it. November comes, and the question is simple: whose highway is louder on the way home? And modern times, spicy. On November 30th, 2024, Indiana blew the roof off Bloomington with a 66-0 demolition of Purdue. 6 touchdown passes from Curtis Rourke, a scoreboard that turned into instant lore, and a recap from Purdue itself calling it a frigid finale, which is about as Big Ten away as you can say, ouch. A fresh I-link got added, the bucket rolled east, and everyone circled next year's date. That's what makes this rivalry perfect. It's simple, it's annual, and it doesn't need hype. When the whistle blows, somebody literally adds to history in bronze. No marketing department required, the trophy keeps score on its own. Ohio State versus Michigan, the game. If college football had its own national holiday, this would be it. Michigan and Ohio State first lined up on October 16th, 1897, and somewhere along the way, their yearly clash picked up the simplest nickname with the heaviest weight, the game. No extra adjectives needed. For decades, the winner has dictated Big Ten titles, Rose Bowl trips, and often the whole national picture. The lore reads like a history book every Midwesterner knows by heart. The 10-Year War, 1969-78, when Bo Schembechler and Woody Hayes basically turned the Big Ten into the Big Two and Little Eight. The TV audiences that sprawl into the millions. The marching bands, the traditions, the November anxiety, and of course, the running tally. Before the 2024 matchup, Ohio State's own notes had Michigan leading 61-51-6, with OSU's 2010 win wiped out. Then came a 13-10 Wolverine win in Columbus, Michigan's 4th straight that pushed the ledger to 62-51-6. Sometimes the math says it all. And modern times? If anything, the rivalry feels sharper. The 2024 edition was classic Big Ten: defense, field position, and late nerves. Dominic Zvada nailed a 21-yard field goal with 45 seconds left, Michigan's defense clamped down, and OSU walked off the field stuck at 10 points. It wasn't pretty, which is exactly why it was perfect. The game usually comes down to who survives the ugly moments. As the Big Ten keeps expanding and shuffling schedules, this one remains untouchable. Same late November chill, same sky-high stakes, same two fan bases living and dying with every snap. By the time the flag planting and headlines roll in, you already know the only thing that matters. The scoreboard in the game. USC versus UCLA, the victory bell. Same city, different colors, but unlimited energy. USC and UCLA first squared off in 1929, and by 1942, their students had made the victory bell the official prize. After a drama-filled backstory, the 295-pound Southern Pacific locomotive bell was stolen by the Trojan Knights in 1941, hidden for over a year, then finally turned into the shared trophy we know today. Ever since, Los Angeles has had a yearly soundtrack. That bell ringing, painted either Trojan Cardinal or Bruin True Blue, depending on who's celebrating. Now, both schools are Big Ten members as of 2024, but the heart of it hasn't changed a bit. It's still crosstown pride, recruiting turf wars, and a family feud that the entire city shows up for. USC leads the all-time series 51-34-7, though the recent swings tell the story. UCLA blew out USC in 2023, only for the Trojans to claw back in 2024 with a 19-13 win at the Rose Bowl, rallying late even while battling a flu bug. The record books reflect it, and so does the bragging energy around town. On the field, it's always had a West Coast vibe. Quarterbacks with big arms, speed all over the place. But now the stakes carry a Midwestern weight too. Win the bell, and you don't just own the city. You strengthen your Big Ten resume. The winner parades the bell, poses for the photos, and owns a year's worth of bragging rights along Wilshire, down the 110, and across the city skyline. Same sun, same swagger, just with national implications now. Because noise is noise, whether it echoes through the Coliseum, the Rose Bowl, or the Big Ten standings. Washington versus Oregon, the Pacific Northwest clash. They've been arguing up and down I-5 since 1900, and November is when the volume really spikes. Washington-Oregon is a century of shared contempt, highlight reel moments, and momentum swings that can give you whiplash. finish. The all-time ledger favors Washington 63 to 49 to 5, and the rivalry even has its own vocabulary. The pick, Kenny Wheaton's 97-yard heartbreaker in 1994, and Oregon's 12-game streak, 2004 to 15. In 2023, the schools gave the Pac 12 one final parting gift, a doubleheader. Washington won the October Classic in Seattle, then beat Oregon again 34 to 31 in the Pac-12 championship, before both packed their bags for the Big Ten. The first Big Ten round proved nothing had changed except the letterhead. On November 30th, 2024, number 1 Oregon hammered Washington 49 to 21 in Eugene to cap a 12-0 season, flipping the script from the year before. That's the rivalry's rhythm. Just when one side starts printing t-shirts, the other steals the ink. Stylistically, it's must-watch football. Explosive offenses, quarterbacks with NFL futures, and defenses forced to sprint through track meets. But it's also brutally situational. Third downs at Outson or Husky Stadium feel like earthquakes. The Big Ten move didn't water it down, it put it on a bigger stage. One year it's a conference title thriller, the next it's a scoreboard runaway. However it lands, the Pacific Northwest never forgets. Purple and gold, green and yellow. It doesn't matter. Everyone up there keeps receipts and everyone knows exactly who got the last word. We've broken down the rivalries that built the Big Ten. If this hit the spot, like subscribe to CFB Almanac and ring the notification bell.